The Sword of Judgment is a sword that determines a person's mana abilities after they place their hands on it. An attendant standing next to Glenn called Bowen Sieghart to place his hand on the sword. Children from the age of 4 are expected to place their hands on the Sword of Judgment to determine their mana ability. When Bowen placed his hands on the sword, a green energy moved around the sword. The nobles at the gathering were happy to see this because his green energy means that Bowen has the ability to use the wind. Glenn congratulates Bowen for finding his ability. He tells Bowen to work hard on channeling his ability. The next child that was called to test herself is Runen Slyan, who is from the Slyan vassal family. After seeing Bowen and Runen test themselves, Laon understood the overall concept of the test. The people are able to know the level of mana purity depending on how far light travels on the sword, while the mana attribute is known by looking at the tip of the sword. Laon understood that the Sieghart family used the Sword of Judgment to know their talents. When the nobles saw the level of mana quality that Runen produced, they were excited. They could not believe that they had another child with the same level of talent as Bowen. Laon was surprised to see how excited the nobles were. He understood that people with talents are extremely valuable in this family. Laon knew that he won't be able to display any amazing results. While his Ring of Fire is at the 2nd star now, there's still a lot of cold air in his mana circuits. Laon did not really care about displaying a good result. After all the children had been tested, an attendant told Laon that it is his turn. The noble looked at Laon with a look of disgust when they heard this. Laon did not have a lot of expectations for himself. He just wanted to know what kind of mana ability his body possessed in order to know what mana attribute he is supposed to cultivate. He placed his hand in the sword and a golden light shined in front of his eyes. Laon was captivated by the golden light. While he was staring into the light, he gets a vision. In his vision, he sees a man standing in the middle of thousands of monsters. Laon was confused by what he was seeing. The monsters surrounded the man and were prepared to attack him. Laon wondered who this man is. The man picked up his sword and a bright light began to shine out of it. The man used his sword to produce an energy that was strong enough to cut through the monsters. After the man killed the monsters, the vision ended for Laon. When Laon came back to reality, he found out that the Sword of Judgment did not produce enough light to show his talent. The nobles laughed and began to mock Laon when they saw his talent. They said that even the god of combat would not grant talent to the child of a runaway. Glenn was surprised to see the results that Laon produced. Sylvia moved close to Laon and began to cheer him up. She told him that he did a good job. She held his hand and decided to take him out of the building. On their way out, the nobles began to mock them again. They said that the only thing Laon inherited in their family is his red eyes and golden hair. They said that Sylvia has a lot of courage to attend the judgment ceremony. When Glenn heard what the nobles were saying, he told them to keep quiet because the hall is too loud for him. The nobles got scared when they heard Glenn's voice. They immediately shut up. Glenn ordered all of them to leave because the ceremony is now over. After everyone had left, Glenn and his butler looked at the sword. Glenn was disappointed that Laon did not show any talent. While he was looking at the sword, a golden light began to shine from it. Glenn was surprised to see this. He remembered that he had once heard of a time when the Sword of Judgment produced a golden light like the sun. Glenn read that the first patriarch of the Sieghart family had a unique aura which displayed transcendental firepower that could melt the flames of the demonic realm. The first patriarch had a golden mana and golden flames. He is the only one to ever have such a unique power in the Sieghart family history. According to the book which Glenn read, the first patriarch's aura is a mana of dense golden light which is blindingly beautiful and radiantly shiny. Glenn could not believe that he was seeing such a unique aura in front of him. He wondered how Laon could have the same talent as the first patriarch. 7 years after the judgment ceremony, Laon is now 12 years old and he is finally ready to enter the 3rd star of the Ring of Fire. In the next scene, we see Laon sitting down in a field. He tells us that his tolerance for water attribute has now reached 2 stars, and thanks to this, the cold in his body has disappeared. Now he is able to move much better than before. Laon plans to begin his physical training immediately. While thinking of what to do, he hears Sylvia call for him. Sylvia walked up to him and asked him why he is not yet dressed for the event. She told him to prepare himself quickly before they are late. Laon realized that it is time for the 2nd judgment ceremony. He could not believe that he would have to see the annoying bastards from the direct noble line again. At the main building, Laon sat among his peers. He noticed that the second ceremony came to an end faster than the first one. He wonders if it is because only the indirect noble line are in the hall. After all the children had performed their test, Glenn calls out Laon's name in a terrifying tone. He told Laon that he gave him an order to attend basic training, and yet Laon has not responded to his orders. Laon did not understand what Glenn was saying. At that moment, Sylvia walked up to Glenn to address the confusion. She told Glenn that Laon cannot attend basic training because he still has so much cold energy in his body and he will not be able to endure the training. Laon was surprised that Sylvia knew about the orders. Glenn told Sylvia that this is the Sieghart land. He told her that anyone who bears the Sieghart family name must train. Sylvia was terrified to hear this. She begged Glenn to give her some time to think about it. Glenn asked her if she will take Laon and run away from the family again. Sylvia was shocked to hear this. Glenn reminded her that if she wants to stay in the Sieghart family, she has to follow their rules. He told her that if she does not like the rules, she can leave the family immediately. The other nobles were amused to see Sylvia in such a predicament. They wondered if Sylvia would actually run away. They could not believe that someone like Sylvia was part of the direct line of the family. Sylvia could not do anything but stand there and take the insults and disrespect given to her. Laon was sad to hear the awful things the nobles were saying about his mother, but he understood why they treated her like that. Sylvia had abandoned the family before. Laon knows that his mother was a martial artist before because he could see the traces in her, but Sylvia did not have any aura. This is because she destroyed her own energy core and mana circuits. She left the family to marry Laon's father. Unfortunately for her, Laon's father died during her pregnancy. Thanks to this, she had no choice but to return back to her family. It was obvious that a direct lineage who had left the family on her own and came crawling back would be treated poorly. But this did not matter to Laon because now Sylvia is his mother and he cannot watch her be treated with disrespect. He decided to walk up to the patriarch. When Sylvia saw this, she begs Laon to come back. She told him that she will take care of everything. Laon told her that everything will be okay. After reaching Glenn, he told him that he will follow his orders and attend the training next month. After hearing what Laon said, the current martial hall master told Laon that he cannot endure the training because he is a patient. He told Laon that he should give up. Laon courageously looked at Glenn and told him that he will live up to the Sieghart family name and attend the training. When Glenn heard Laon say that he will live up to the family name, he released a terrifying aura and asked Laon if he knows the heavy weight of the words he said. Laon was terrified to feel the patriarch's aura. He began to bleed out from his mouth. He felt like he was being crushed like an ant. He could not believe that Glenn is able to completely dominate him with just a look. He felt like his heart was being crushed. He immediately knew that Glenn is stronger than D. Ruth Robert. Laon felt like he finally understood the true power of the Northern King of Annihilation. When Sylvia saw how her father was pressuring Laon, she grabbed Laon and begged her father to set him free. She told him that Laon is a young child who does not know what he is saying. The martial hall master also helped Sylvia plead with Glenn. The patriarch used his aura to pressure both Sylvia and the martial hall master. He told them to shut up when he is speaking. Both Sylvia and the martial hall master were extremely terrified to feel Glenn's aura. Sylvia did her best to overcome her father's aura. She told Glenn that Laon is not in the right state to train. She begged him to stop using his aura. Laon was surprised that someone was so worried about him. In the past, Laon was an assassin, a person who lives in the shadows. He was always closer to death than life, and he never stepped out of the darkness. Laon decided that he no longer wants to hide in the darkness. The moment he said this, he saw his past self push him to the light. When he felt the push, he decided to no longer live as Assassin Laon, but as Laon Sieghart, the person who will restore Sylvia's original position. He summoned all his strength and walked up to Glenn. He told the patriarch that he was raised in a separate building of the residence, so he does not know how powerful the Sieghart family is. He informed Glenn that he would like to understand the Sieghart position in society through his training. He decided that he will protect Sylvia and he will do anything to protect the smile of the people who were precious to him. Glenn was surprised to hear what Laon had to say. He asked Laon if he will judge their family standards based on his training. Laon said that he will. Glenn told Laon that he will tell his instructor to prepare for him, so that he is not disappointed. After Glenn said this to Laon, Laon fell on the ground. While Laon was on the ground, he contemplates that in his past life, he was the best assassin, and now he is someone who has learned the fire ring technique. He believes that he will be able to become a prominent figure in this family if he utilizes both his abilities. Before he completely lost consciousness, he tightened his fist and says that he will show the family how strong he can become. In the next scene, we are introduced to the intermediate martial hall master, Curran Sieghart. Curran asked his assistant how it is possible for Laon to move. The assistant told Curran that many maids overheard the Saint of Rags and the Patriarch say that Laon is seriously ill. Curran knew that Laon's body has an abnormal condition, but he did not understand how Laon was able to withstand his father's aura. He ordered his assistant to place a maid in Laon's building. He told him to do it as quickly as possible. The scene shifts and we see Laon running. Sylvia runs after him to stop him. She tells him not to push himself, but Laon does not listen. He continues to run with determination in his eyes. In the next scene, we see Glenn at the 5th training hall. The people at the hall all bow their heads when they see Glenn. The scene shifts and we see an elf sleeping. Glenn told the elf to stop pretending to be asleep. He ordered him to get up. The elf was surprised to see that Glenn knew that he was pretending. This elf is Limer Diaz. He is also known as the Brilliant Sword. Limer told Glenn with a smile that he is the only one that can see through his sleeping techniques. Glenn informs Limer that all the instructors are working, and yet he is sleeping. Limer tells Glenn that the instructors are following his orders. He says that he is working with his head while the other instructors are working with their bodies. He believes that it is fair for him to rest. Glenn could not believe that a grown man was making excuses for his laziness. He told Limer that he has not matured even after 50 years. Limer smiles and tells Glenn that people don't change easily. Limer changed the topic and asked Glenn if he came to see him because of his grandson. When Glenn heard this, his expression turned grim. Limer revealed to Glenn that Sylvia also came to see him, but he never expected the Patriarch to come as well. Glenn was surprised to hear that Sylvia also came. Limer revealed to Glenn that Sylvia begged him to make sure that Laon does not get injured. Limer told Glenn that if he came to make the same request as Sylvia, he is wasting his time. He reminded Glenn that he promised to not interfere with the operations of the 5th training hall. He told Glenn with a serious tone that he will not make any exceptions even if it is his grandson. Glenn surprisingly agreed with Limer's logic. Limer could not understand what was going on. Glenn told him to not lessen the intensity of Laon's training. He told Limer that he does not want any weaklings in his family. Limer used his hand to cover his mouth to show how shocked he is. He used a silly voice to tell Glenn that he loves his grandson more than he expected. He told Glenn that he is doing his best to take care of Laon because he could not raise his daughter well. Glenn was angry to hear this. He told Limer that his head would be rolling on the floor right now if he was not his veteran friend. Glenn ordered Limer to not go easy on anyone. He told him to fail all those who were unworthy so that only those who were worthy would receive his training. Limer smiled when he heard the Patriarch's order. To him, this order meant that he can act as he wishes. After giving his order, Glenn decided to leave. Limer tells Glenn to arrive home safely with a bright smile. After Glenn left, Limer wonders what kind of person Laon is. The scene shifts and we see Laon staring at his status window. Laon was happy to see his status window because he had finally achieved 3-star Ring of Fire. Thanks to this, the quality of his soul, his stamina, strength, agility, mana sensitivity, and mentality increased significantly. More importantly, his bitter cold curse was weakened. Laon remembers how Sylvia stopped his training at the right moment. He was very thankful that she did because he is now getting more flexible. He was also thankful that his status window quickened his growth. But he was not satisfied with it. He believed that his rise in power was just beginning. The Sieghart's training is infamous for its difficulty. Being at 3-star Ring of Fire is just the first step. Laon knows that he needs to have a good foundation in order to survive. He is determined to excel more than anyone else so that all the nobles who mocked him and his mother will shut up. After he has done this, he aims to go after the Heavenly Sword Saint, Deruth Robert. He says that he will not stop until he has killed Deruth. While thinking of what to do, he hears someone call his name. This person turns out to be Sylvia. Laon asked Sylvia why she came to see him when it is late. Sylvia told Laon that she wanted to talk to him before he starts his training tomorrow. She looks at Laon with a sad face and asked him if he has to go to the training tomorrow. She told him that she wants to stop him from going because he can get badly hurt. She placed her hand on Laon's shoulder and begged him to postpone his training until next year. Laon refused his mother's request. Sylvia was extremely hurt to hear this. Laon told her that he cannot stand it when someone from the direct and indirect line make disgusting faces when they see her. He revealed to her that if he does well on the training, she will no longer be treated with disdain. Sylvia was surprised to hear this. She was happy that her son was worried about her. She told Laon that he must be confused about why everyone in the family treats them badly. She revealed to Laon that she coincidentally fell in love with his father during a mission. It was difficult for her to share her feelings because Laon's father was just an ordinary knight. So she shut down her energy core and mana circuits in order to leave the family. She told Laon that he had an older sister whose name was Sia. She was 2 years older than Laon. They lived a peaceful life until Eden's executive decided to ambush them. Laon's father was not very powerful and Sylvia was in pregnancy. There was nothing they could do against them. Fortunately for Sylvia, her husband had hired guards without her knowledge, but the guards were far away from them, so they arrived late. Sylvia was in despair to see her husband and her child dead bodies. She did not know what to do, so she returned to the family. That is why she is treated like a sinner. After Laon heard Sylvia's story, he came to the conclusion that Sylvia is selfish. He said that Sylvia threw her responsibilities away in the name of love, and she came back crawling to be saved. He finally understood why Sylvia is treated poorly. But this did not matter to Laon because Sylvia is someone who gave him a new life and showed him affection for the first time. Even if everyone calls her selfish, to Laon, she is the only mother he has ever had in both his lives. Laon asked Sylvia if she regrets her decision to run away from the family. Sylvia smiled at Laon and told him that she does not regret her decision. She told Laon that she lived like she was invisible in the family. Only after she left was she treated like a real person. She said that she was happy before and she is happy now. She apologized to Laon for being a bad mother. Laon held her hand and told her that he is fine. He told her not to worry about him. He smiled at her and reminds himself that even if everyone calls his mother selfish, she is his one and only mother. He decided to take his revenge after he has helped Sylvia regain her position in the family. Sylvia was very happy to have gotten such a considerate child. She began to cry with a smile on her face. After Laon calmed Sylvia down, he decided to check his ring of fire and sleep immediately he is done. When he circulated energy around his body, he noticed that the rings are spinning faster because he is in 3-star. He wonders how powerful the rings will be at a higher level. While circulating his energy, a mysterious blue light began to form in front of Laon. The light said that it is finally time. It told Laon that his rage has reached it. The light turned into a blue demon. It told Laon that he will help him take his revenge in the name of Wrath, the second lord of the demon realm. Laon was surprised to see this. He did not know what was going on. While he was looking at the blue demon, the status window appeared and told Laon that rage has awakened. Guys, we have come to the end of our video. If you guys want part 3 of this video, let us know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button for recaps. See you guys later.